Good evening, Latin scholars. Tonight we'll be dissecting Caesar 5.29, which I've titled A Not So Genius Plan. Let's dive right in. There's a lot of Latin today. Against these arguments, Sabinus exclaimed again and again. So, clamitabat is a frequentative as seen by that ita. So he's saying it again and again. Caesar is looking upon Sabinus in a childlike manner. A good leader wouldn't yell the same thing over and over again, but actually lay out an argument and lay out his plan. Caesar's separating himself from the upcoming disaster here. So he exclaimed again and again that this sets off an indirect statement that they would be acting too late. After large bands of enemies had come together with the Germans having been added. This is an ablative absolute. Or after some other disaster had been suffered in the nearest winter camps. So this is more or less saying we have to act now. If we don't go now, the Germans are going to come and kill us, or they're going to kill some other camp, and we have to go help them. And he's freaking out a lot. And one last thing to point out here, aliquid calamitatis is literally translated as some of disaster with a partitive genitive, but we just translate it like we would some food and some of food, so some disaster. So continuing this indirect statement, he said that the time, the occasion for considering was short. If he thought that so there's a say implied here. So this is Sabinus thought that Caesar had set out for Italy. If he were here, if he were not in Italy, neither would the Carnutes have formed the plan of killing, this is a gerundive, Tiscetius, nor would the Eburones have come against the camp with such great contempt for us. Things to note here, cum temptione is an ablative of manner, and nostri is an objective genitive. Moving on to the third slide. So we got an implied verb of to be here. So it was not at the enemy that he looked as the source, but to the facts. Rem is the facts here. So he's assessing the situation. He's not with the enemy. As spectare, we can apply se. Sabinus is the subject here as the accusative subject. Moving on. The Rhine was close. The death of Ariovistus, which hasn't been mentioned yet in the text. This is the first time, just sort of throws it in there. The death of Ariovistus and our previous victories were a source of great sorrow for the Germans. Were a source of great sorrow for the Germans. So Germanis dolori here is a double dative, along with, so Magno dolori and Germanis is a double dative. And then we move into two long ablative absolutes. So Gaul was inflamed with, so this is the start of the first one, so many insults having been received under the rule of the Roman people, and with its previous glory of warfare having been extinguished or destroyed. So this is the second one here. That's the first one. Slide number 4. finally, who could persuade himself of this. So persuadere, could persuade, is a subjunctive in an indirect statement and sets off another indirect statement. That Ambiorix had descended to such a plan without irrefutable proof. And that's what the ray is here. He said that his opinion was safe in neither event, if there was nothing too dangerous. Durius is a comparative, so it's too dangerous, not just dangerous. If there was nothing too dangerous, they would reach the nearest legion with no danger, with no problem. And perventuros is a future active infinitive dependent on sententia, a plural, because Sabinus wants to refer to the whole camp instead of just himself. If Gaul was combining with the Germans, their only hope lay in speed. And for today's small last chunk of Latin, he asked, what outcome the plan of Cotta and those who disagreed with him would have. So this is Sabinus challenging his detractors, saying, what better plan do you have? What plan? How can we survive? And then he goes on to further say, in which case, if present danger was not to be feared, certainly starvation by a long siege was to be feared. This is a little silly, because they have a lot of provisions. They probably would have made it through the winter. They're leaving their safe house to go wander in the wilderness. So Cotta is placed at the beginning of the sentence here. Caesar wants to associate with him instead of Sabinus. And another final note is longiqua obsidione is an ablative of cause. So thank you for bearing with me for this very long chunk of Latin. Don't be like the Romans. There are plenty of dumb ways to die. Don't leave your safe house and go wander in the wilderness. It's not going to end up well for them. Don't be dumb or you will perish. Signing off. Thank you very much.